literally there's going to be 50 tips for consumers on what to look for when interviewing to sell your home or to buy your home. So that is consumer protection. That is raising the bar for the consumer. And so if the consumer likes Wade and trusts Wade and has a great experience, that protects the industry versus if they have a terrible experience with another agent, that brings down the industry.
Up next, the co-author of our brand new book, Secrets of Top Luxury Agents, Michael LaFido. Today I'm joined by my good friend and co-author of our soon-to-be released book, Secrets of Top Luxury Agents, Michael LaFido. Mike's a speaker, an author, a trainer, consultant, and on top of all of that, a luxury real estate professional with over 20 years of experience in the great city of Chicago. Mike, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be with me today.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Wade.
So you and I met, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago at a RE/MAX event, and you were training there. And I was really impressed by your enthusiasm, your unique approach to marketing luxury properties, and just tell me a little bit about why you started that luxury listing specialist training program.
So it goes back to a gentleman who was with ERA Franchise Systems. He was in Florida, and he had purchased a big box of DVDs and CDs. I created a course called The Ultimate Listing Blueprint, helping agents attract more leads and more closings and more listings. And I had a module in there, basically how I get premium commissions by offering premium value. And he worked with the top 50 ERA agents in the country, and one of which was in our backyard. And she did amazing work, but she discounted her fee because of lack of whatever it might be. And so he thought she'd be a good connection with me. So long story short, we met. I ended up helping her and doing some trainings at her office, and her office was based in Hinsdale, Illinois, which is a luxury market. Immersing myself in the Chamber of Commerce in that market, I quickly realized that it wasn't just her, but there were other luxury agents that needed support, tools, training, and so I made the shift from focusing on everybody to really focusing on higher end and helping agents in the luxury space. Although my trainings apply to all price points, we really carved out that luxury niche. And so then shortly after, we launched our Lux designation, luxury listing specialist, and we kind of changed a lot of our topics, our speaking, to really focus on helping agents increase their average sale price and sell more high-end and luxury homes.
Yeah, it's a great training program. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I might be the first one in Minnesota to secure that designation.
You are, yeah. Like we did that training for RE/MAX in the Midwest, and you and I met, and you invested in it, and you were the first in Minnesota.
So, in your opinion, what defines luxury?
That's a great question. It's hard to define luxury by price point, right? Luxury could be the way you feel, and there's so many other things besides just how much something costs. However, for the sake of real estate, the easiest way to define luxury is by value. So every brokerage defines luxury differently, whether it be RE/MAX Collections or Coldwell Banker or fill in the blank. So when we launched our course 7.5, almost 8 years ago, we came up with a rubric to define. At the time, I called it 4 buckets. Now we've added a 5th bucket. I believe that there's 4 price points in every market, and in major markets there's that 5th price point. So it's easiest to start with bucket number 2, which is the average price point for that given market. So luxury is all relative to that given market is the short answer, but let me give you the price point. So bucket number 2 is the average price point, which most consumers and real estate agents can find through their local real estate board, the MLS, a title company. So that's bucket number 2, which is the average for that market. There's different markets in Minnesota. The averages vary, same thing in Illinois where I'm based or where have you. So start with the average, and then below that is what we call entry level or starter price point. Then bucket 2, or the second price point, is average. Then the third bucket is what I define as a high-end home weight, and a high-end home is a home or a condo that's 2 times the average sale price for that market. And then we define the 4th bucket as luxury, and we define a luxury home or a luxury condo or townhouse as a property that is 3 times the average price point in that given market for that similar home. And then the 5th bucket, which is in major markets, is what we call ultra luxury, and we define an ultra luxury home as something that's 10 times the average price point. So if the average price point is 400,000, a high-end home would be 400 times 2, or around 800,000. That's bucket 3. Bucket 4 is luxury, 400 times 3, which would be around 1.2 million. And then the ultra luxury would be 400,000 times 10, or 4 million and above.
So that's great information, and that's it's interesting because in my market, what might be a luxury home at $800,000 or $900,000 might be more of an average price home in one of the markets that you service there in the Chicagoland area. So you're right; it's defined by the marketplace, and I often tell people I think it's also defined by the service you provide, right? As you said, you can provide a luxury service to an average price home as well. So you've traveled all over the world.
Absolutely. I mean, we call that the Ritz-Carlton
Yep.
experience, right? So
Yep.
giving somebody that $1 million experience, whether they, are entry level or not. And you're absolutely right. Many brands define luxury under their brokerage model as $1 million and above. And in some parts of Illinois or Minnesota or California, or it doesn't matter the market, you don't see $1 million homes because the average price point is so low. And so that's why I believe luxury is all relative to the given market.
So you've traveled all over the world. I think in your trainings, in your events, your speaking. You've met a lot of great agents out there. In your opinion, is there one or two traits that separate a luxury agent in their particular market from I don't want to say an average agent, but I think it takes a certain type of person to specialize in and work that luxury market. Have you seen something that stands out to you?
Yeah, I have. That's a great question. In our book that you're in, Secret to Top Luxury Agents, we have the foreword is written by Glenn Stearns. He was featured in Undercover Billionaire, a TV show on the Discovery Channel. Glenn is a billionaire, and he owns multiple properties. And I asked the same question to him, and he answered it the same way I would. And really, it's the number one thing that a consumer, whether they buying a home or selling a home, is trust. Can I trust you? So treating the client as an advisor, as a trusted advisor, versus the salesperson says, I got to sell them a home. The trusted advisor says, you know what, everything that you've told me, Wade, this doesn't sound like the right home. If you really want, I'm not going to stop you. But, as your advisor, you've told me A, B, and C, and this doesn't have A, B, and C. So trust is number one. Okay. Number two is, I would say number two is being, well connected, and that takes time, right? So going to where these people dine, whether it be their country club, where they golf, thinking the way they think, what keeps them awake at night? And so when I'm referring somebody to a high net worth individual, it's important that I understand their passions, hobbies, and interests. Their passions, hobbies, and interests is important when I'm having conversations with them, but it's also important when I'm referring other businesses to them, because I want to make sure they're the right fit. I want to make sure that company I'm making a recommendation to is going to treat them with an advisor mentality versus a sales mentality. So it's kind of like Robert De Niro in the 2000 movie called Meet the Parents. That circle of trust is very difficult to penetrate, but it's easy to get kicked out of that circle.
Yeah, and I think those two kind of go hand in hand. So, trust and what keeps them awake at night. So I always tell people, my goal is to make sure that you trust me enough so that the real estate transaction doesn't keep you awake at night, right? I want to be the person that you can go to bed at night knowing that you're in good hands and that you've got a trustworthy real estate advisor handling your real estate transaction. So I think that's a great answer and something that I've discovered in my day-to-day business as well. So.
Yeah, and I like to use kind of a medical analogy as well, Wade. So if you were coming to me to diagnose a problem, you had something going on health-wise, I would say, hey, Wade, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or I'm going to be honest with you, and that truth can hurt. Maybe it's your diet, maybe it's your smoking, whether it be your lifestyle. But I'm going to call a spade, but I'm also going to give you, the prescription to beat it, right? So, many times, like I have at the taping of this, I have a $3.75 million listing in the town I live in that's about to go on. It's a French provincial that was built 15 years ago. French provincials are very taste specific to that owner. it's going to be a very difficult sale. And so my stager's going in there, and she's going to have the heart-to-heart conversation with them that I know your floors that you brought in from France are 130 years old, but they're specific to you. We know your paint colors and your heavy window treatments. And so that's going to be a very difficult conversation. But if you break the ice with the medical analogy, then at least you're softening the blow.
Yeah, it's a great analogy, and to your point, unfortunately, some people don't want to hear that, right? There's a lot of consumers out there that maybe don't want to be told that the floors aren't going to appeal to everybody, and it's hard to deliver. And I think it takes the right person and the right type of agent to specialize in luxury so that we can deliver that news to them in the right way to not offend them, right? So.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right.
So why the book? What transitioned you into doing the book, and why the book?
That's a great question. So as you mentioned earlier, I speak across the world. I've been in Dubai this past year and Mexico multiple times, and we've pretty much have done our training to all the major associations. I'm always about raising the bar. And so I believe if we raise the bar for the industry and look out for the consumer and raise the bar for the consumer, good things will happen. And so we brought in some of the best, agents across the world from multiple brokerages. We have, I think, over 12 brokerages represented, mixture of male and female, some from the various affinity groups, diversity groups. You're with Remax. We have, Sotheby's, Compass, you name it, companies you've never heard of. And so we wanted to have a mastermind of best practices of what's working. So the book is inspiring as well as it's a road map and a blueprint for agents that want to increase their average sale price and sell more luxury. But Wade, as you know, we also have a bonus section in each chapter that is consumer beneficial. So again, I want the not just the co-authors, but people that have the book to be able to leave the book with somebody buying a high-end or luxury home or selling one, because literally there's going to be 50 tips for consumers on what to look for when interviewing to sell your home or to buy your home. So that is consumer protection. That is raising the bar for the consumer. And so if the consumer likes Wade and trusts Wade and has a great experience, that protects the industry, versus if they have a terrible experience with another agent, that brings down the industry. There's big media companies out there, one of which I just was at the Inman conference, and there's some people that write for Inman, I won't name names. I feel like almost cheering against our industry because I know one person in particular had a bad experience, and that bad experience unfortunately has almost motivated them to write negatively about our industry.
Interesting. Well, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to participate in the book with you, and I'm excited about it. I too believe that it'll bring some good content to both the consumer and the industry, and hopefully open some eyes that needed to be opened. So, what do you see happening, and what are some of your challenges right now in your local Chicagoland market? I know for us, and maybe it's consistent in your market, we still have an inventory problem. That's one of our biggest challenges. We have too many agents. That's a big challenge. But what do you see as some of the challenges in the real estate industry overall, based on your travels around the world?
It's consumer confidence, right? So, what you see with the stock market and the media and 2024 presidential election, life is what drives real estate. Somebody's getting married, somebody's getting divorced, somebody's relocating, they need a home, but consumer confidence can create a tailwind or it could create a headwind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So momentum is important in real estate. And so right now, overall, I'm seeing across the country still a shortage of inventory. I do feel like there's a pent-up demand. So there were people in early 2020 that bought a home that maybe it wasn't their first choice, but there was nothing out there. Rates were, so stinking low, so that people were making offers and they're up against 20 other people. So people settled on houses because they didn't have many choices. Now they have a little bit, 2 or 3 years down the road, I think you're going to see more sellers put their home on the market that they recently purchased because it wasn't the perfect fit for them. So even though rates are a little bit higher, they want to be in control of their purchase versus, so I do feel like you'll see more inventory, but you're not going to see a wave of inventory. So I think overall you'll still see homes appreciate. Locally here in Chicago, one of our biggest challenges is you're seeing a lot of wealth leave the state because of whether it be political, whether it be high property taxes. Literally, I have a buyer looking at a $5.8 million home right now, and the property taxes, uh, you know, with a 2.6% multiplication, you're looking at
Mm.
$130,000 on a $5 million purchase. And,
Wow.
you know, although they can afford it, they just don't like paying it, right? And so property taxes come up multiple times. I talked to somebody just last night selling a 1.5. They're downsizing to an $800,000 home. The property taxes are the driving force for them to downsize. So property taxes in many states, in Chicago and Illinois, is a big deal.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the same things here in Minnesota. And just yesterday, there was a news story released that the largest Dairy Queen franchisee is leaving the state and going to, I believe, Nashville, Tennessee, purely for tax purposes, right? I mean, there's a lot of income, and I know a lot of 3M executives are now able to work remotely, and they're moving to Florida and other states like that. So, yeah, you're right. We are seeing a lot of wealth leaving our state as well. So we have a lot of
Yeah,
similarities.
and Chicago, it didn't work in LA, but Chicago's looking at the mansion tax. They're going to be voting
Mm.
on it soon, the mansion tax for properties that I think it's 1.5 million and above. But it didn't work in LA. It hampered the luxury market. So I believe they gave it some nice name, like homelessness tax or something. But at the end, it's a mansion tax, and it's going to hurt. And I do believe when you hurt the upper price points, it's a trickle down effect.
I wholeheartedly agree. And with that in mind, you mentioned something that I don't want to overlook. This is an election year. This is, in my opinion, and I was just having this conversation off camera, probably one of the most pivotal, maybe most volatile election years I'll ever see in my lifetime. And I know in my market, the luxury consumers tends to take a step back in making big purchases when there's uncertainty like that. Do you see that having any effect on the luxury market, maybe in your market or nationwide?
Historically, the answer is yes, right? So I do feel like it will affect some people buying or selling. There's been so much wealth made over the last 3 or 4 years. So, people are still going to, buy and sell regardless of who's president, what interest rates are, et cetera. But I definitely feel um, you'll see some people make more calculated decisions or pause big decisions until the dust settles. Because, polarizing either way, not to bring up politics, but, one candidate, will probably be, more taxes and more regulations, and one will be less taxes, less regulations. And so that will affect some people's purchasing and sale.
Overall, you mentioned one other thing I just want to touch on, and there's been a lot of fear, and I know I've got some pretty deep scars from the '08 crash, and there's always this talk of, you read one media outlet that the real estate market's going to crash, and you touched on this, that you don't see that happening. You see some steady appreciation. Do you feel that's going to continue on in the next 2 to 5 years, or are you just kind of only willing to kind of make that guess out the next 12 months?
Yeah, I would say just more this year. So our Lux designation, I mastermind with other designation founders and owners, and one of those is the CDPE, Certified Distressed Property Expert, which is short sales and foreclosures. And you know, there are a lot of people that, because of taxes and changes in job and inflation, times are tough. Homes are depreciating in some markets. Even in the great state of Florida, there's some markets where, you know, people, overpaid, and it's not sustainable, Wade, right? So, the squeezing of the middle class because home prices went up. So rent prices are going up across the country. Home prices are going up. And so I do feel like it's just not sustainable, the amount of money that someone needs to make to buy some of these houses. I do feel like you're going to see some more distressed sales, um, in the market.
I would agree with that, and I think time will tell. Obviously, it's hard to predict the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But with so much volatility right now, and we've run out of that. How do I put it? Some of that government cash that was injected into the marketplace over the last 2 or 3 years due to COVID. I think we're going to, what did Buffett say? When the tide goes out, we're going to see who's swimming with their pants down, and I think we're going to find that
Yeah,
out here over the next 12 months. So.
yeah. Yeah.
Mike, I really appreciate you joining me. This has been very, very insightful. I look forward to partnering with you on this book. I look forward to the release of the book. We're hoping maybe this spring that the book will roll out.
Yeah, the target date is mid-April, and we're really excited about it. We believe it will be a bestseller and a staple hold in the industry. Uh, and I'm so honored that you're part of it.
I appreciate you having me be a part of it. I look forward to working with you on it and this relationship moving forward. And thanks again for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.